Yeah, Frank, that's because next year, every Ohio lawmaker is going to be running for re-election in a newly redrawn congressional district. The district that the plan is will likely be less Republican or Democrat than the one they're currently in. Over the last decade, Ohio's congressional districts have become well known for their odd boundaries, even earning their own nicknames. Marcy Kaptur's Snake on the Lake district thinly stretched from Cleveland to Toledo, and Jim Jordan's Duck district for its obvious waterfowl comparison. The inkblot boundaries divided up some Ohio counties, like Summit, into 4 districts. They even slice small cities.
It's so bad that the city of Avon actually is split into 3 congressional districts.
The courts ruled Ohio's districts to be unconstitutional in 2019, gerrymandered by Republicans to benefit Republicans, and ordered them redrawn. But the U.S. Supreme Court would later rule that federal courts shouldn't be deciding such cases so close to the 2020 election. Redrawing the seats is a process that starts next month in Ohio with the results of last year's census. As it was, Ohio voters in 2018 already approved a new process aimed at more fairly drawing the districts. The argument at the time was Ohio's Republicans in Congress received 52% of the vote in 2018, but controlled 75% of the congressional seats. And it's not just Ohio. A court-ordered redraw in Pennsylvania saw their map go from this to this, and in turn, the legislative split went from 12-6 Republican to an even 9-9.
The plan for redistricting and reform is to make districts more competitive.
So legislators are less concerned about primary elections and more concerned about general elections, a move thought to create more of an era of legislative cooperation like we're seeing this week in Washington. Sutton says there's a problem with that thinking in Ohio, though, as the new plan limits the number of counties that can be split, how many times they can be divided.
The flip side of that is that you wind up with what we call packing, which is that you pack voters of a particular party all into one district.
Which one can argue is what we currently have. So while Ohio's vote as a whole may average 52-48% Republican, that's a number that's skewed by geography. The rural counties going heavily Republican, 9 of those counties voting for President Trump with more than 80% of the vote, while the urban cores, they go Democrat.
And John, so this is not so good news. Ohio is expected to lose a seat in the House, which adds another twist to all of this.
Yeah, while the process of deciding that will be fair, the reality is it is still controlled by the Republicans. So that seat that we lose will likely be one of those 4 Democratic seats in Congress. How that seat is then divvied up will determine how many competitive seats Ohio ends up with.
All right, John Kosick, we always appreciate your explanations. Thanks so much.